and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our die, Eggcellent Easter Basket. This is one of our paper piecing style dies and they are so much fun to put together, so let's go ahead and check it out. Now, I love double-sided adhesive sheets for these paper piecing style dies, and that's what we're going to be using here. So we're going to take a piece of kraft cardstock and then take one of these double-sided adhesive sheets. We'll peel off the liner paper on one side, and then we're going to attach it to this piece of cardstock, essentially making it a sticker. Then we're going to take the base pieces of the Eggcellent Easter Basket and we're going to die cut those. And what's great about this is that it's going to have adhesive on it that we're going to be able to use to attach all of our pieces on. But before we do that, we're actually going to be doing some die cutting with the frame pieces. Those are the ones that have all of the little details. And we're going to die cut some white cardstock, kraft cardstock, and some pretty pattern paper from the Stripes and Sprinkles paper collection. Now, before putting these dies together, we're going to add some details with some markers here. And so onto this kraft cardstock, we're just using a light brown marker and just adding a little bit of shading around the edges of the basket handle and the little basket pieces, just to kind of give it a little extra something, so it's not just plain cardstock. And then for the Easter eggs, we're going to color the Easter eggs almost as if we had dyed the Easter eggs ourselves. So we're going to take some markers for those, add a little bit of shading where those eggs overlap, and then blend that out. Other ways that you can add color to both the basket and the eggs is you could use pattern paper, you could use colored cardstock, you could do watercolor on these, you could have so much fun. So right now we're going to add all of our color with our markers and then we're going to decorate the eggs with some white gel pens. And we're using gel pens in different widths here to get different looks on the eggs. And this is really fun because it really feels like when you use those kind of wax crayons on the eggs and then you dye them in the Easter egg ink. I just think this is so fun. So we're just going to kind of add some little stripes and squiggles just like you would do with your Easter eggs at home. And it looks so cute in the basket. Now that our eggs are all decorated, we can start to work on layering all of our pieces. So we have our pattern paper, our kraft, our decorated eggs, and the base piece that we added the double-sided adhesive to earlier. And we're going to peel up the liner paper on that double-sided adhesive, and then we're going to start adding pieces of the basket. And you'll notice that we have all of our little pieces here stuck to full stick Post-its. You don't necessarily need to do this at home when you're crafting, but for the video, it kind of keeps everything nice and tidy. But when I'm making these on my own, I just let there be all sorts of little pieces everywhere. But if you like to be nice and tidy with things, a really great way to do that is to use these full stick Post-its because you can stick all the pieces to them, you can add your color, etc. And it keeps everything nice and organized. Or you can be like me and how I usually do it and I just have pieces everywhere. So now we've added in the handle and then we're going to go ahead and add in all of the pieces. And you'll see how cute that looks with the little pieces that have the shading on there. It just makes the basket feel special. Now for that little kind of fabric on the basket, we're going to use pattern paper for that, and I think pattern paper looks so cute in this little basket. And then we can start to add the eggs, which is my favorite part because the whole basket kind of comes to life when we add those eggs in. And you'll see that we have some extra pieces for the basket. I'm going to save those because I can use those to create another basket later, especially out of the white cardstock. I could add color with my markers. And oh my goodness, look how cute this little Easter basket is. I just love it so much. And here, I just wanted to show you a comparison between using markers and something where we did entirely out of pattern paper for the Easter basket. Two ways to use it, and it looks super cute. Adding pattern paper to those eggs is a really cute way to decorate them too. Last year, we came out with a paper piecing style die called Springtime Bunny, and this Eggcellent Easter Basket and the Springtime Bunny are a really great combination together. We're also going to be doing something really unique with this pumpkin wagon that is also a paper piecing style die, and this idea came from a card from Grace. So we're combining the idea of a card by Rebecca and a card by Grace all together to create a new idea, which is really fun. And so we went ahead and die cut a ton of the pieces, and we added them to those full stick Post-its again just to keep everything nice and organized for this video. And now we're going to start adding some color with markers again. So we're going to add some color with Copic markers, adding some pink to his ears and then some warm gray to the bunny just to give him a little bit of extra detail instead of leaving him plain white. And then now we've got a base for the bunny, also has that double-sided adhesive sheet on there. We can peel that up and then we can add the frame and then the pieces that we colored in. And you'll see that there is a white frame around the bunny, but as we were coloring it in, we got some marker on the edges, so we're going to use this nice clean bunny here. We're going to layer the frame on top and then we can pop the pieces in. And I love popping the pieces into these. I think it's just so much fun. It feels like almost like a little puzzle and there's something very satisfying about it. So we're going to go ahead and drop in all of the little parts of the bunny's ears and his face, and you'll see this whole cute little bunny come together. For his eyes, we've die cut him out of black cardstock. And then for the nose, what we're going to do is we're going to trim off the top of the nose there. And then we're going to use that little pink nose to fill in that part. So his mouth is going to be with the black cardstock. And then we're going to add that cute little pink nose right on top. And that is just so sweet. Now, the Springtime Bunny set also has a little carrot, and we're going to follow a lot of the same process here. So we're going to have 3 carrots, although we only end up using 2 on the card. And we're going to add some color with marker on these, and then we can fill in the orange and the green, peel up the liner paper on the base. We can add that there and pop in all of the pieces, and we'll have 3 adorable little carrots. The Eggcellent Easter Basket comes with this adorable little bow. I love this bow so much. I want to use it on cards on its own, and of course it's super cute on the basket. And we're going to follow our same pattern again. So we're going to just add some marker to the pieces, and then we can peel up the liner paper and attach the frame, and then pop in all of the pieces, and we'll have our cute little bow. Now, the next thing we're going to do is something super clever. We're going to take our pumpkin wagon, but we're going to be cutting off the pumpkins so that we can add other things into the wagon to make it more of a spring wagon. And this is super quick and easy to do. So we're following the same pattern again here. We're going to add the frame, and then we're going to drop in different pieces of the wagon. So we're going to add the little wheels there in kraft, and then parts of the wagon are going to be out of that same stripes and sprinkles paper that we used on the Easter basket. That way they're going to really coordinate together nicely. And then we can add a little bit of color to the inner part of the wheels and the little wagon handle as well, and then we're going to drop those pieces in too. And then we're not going to decorate the pumpkins because we're actually going to trim that off. And what I love about this is that it's really easy to do because it's a nice straight line, and it makes it so that you could add lots of other cute things into the wagon. And there's a lot of cute paper piecing style dies that could look fun for this, but what we're going to do is actually use the eggs from the Easter basket. So we've done a kraft basket really similar like we did before, but we're only going to fill in the eggs because that's the only part we need to use. So we're just going to use our scissors to trim these off, and you just have to round off the edges of the outside eggs, and then after that you can just kind of go along that little straight line there, and you're going to be able to add the eggs into the basket. And so you don't even need to make the bottom part pretty because that's going to get covered up by the wagon, and there's a little bit of adhesive on there thanks to that double-sided adhesive sheet, so we can just layer that right behind the wagon. And look how cute this is with the Easter eggs in the wagon. It's as if that those are the eggs that are going to be decorated, and then the eggs that have been decorated are in the basket. Now we're going to start working on our card base, the scene for all of these cute things to go in. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut the outside in stitched scalloped rectangle here. And we're going to measure the inside there from stitching line to stitching line. And then we're going to actually trim a piece of the stripes and sprinkles pattern paper to fit in this area. So it's 5 1/4 by a little bit less than 4 there. And then we're just going to go ahead and trim that in the paper trimmer. And that's going to give us a piece that's the perfect size for the interior, but you'll still see that pretty stitching line. And then here we have some textured cardstock here in a beautiful green color, and we're going to cut that with a Grassy border die so that we'll have some nice grass for our scene to put the wagon and the Easter basket and the bunny in. Now, to add a little bit of decoration to this background here, we're going to be using the dot side of the paper, and we're going to take out the cloud background stencil. And I really love stenciling over the pattern paper. It adds some clouds to the background, but it's really nice and subtle. It looks really cool. And so we're going to use some merman ink with a pretty light hand, and we're going to go over these clouds. And this cloud background stencil is actually a 2-step stencil, so we're going to fill in all of the clouds. So you just did a little check there, adding a little bit more ink because we're trying to have a nice light hand, but not too light. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the other stencil. And what I love about this is the clouds overlap some, which looks really, really nice because the ink kind of gets darker where they overlap. And I just think it's a really pretty look. And so we're going to add that merman ink again over these clouds, and then we can lift up that stencil and you'll see just how pretty these look on the pattern paper. Now we can start to layer everything together. So we'll add some tape runner on the back of that pretty cloud pattern paper piece, and we'll layer that into our scallops and then add our grass on the bottom. And then we're going to bring all of those cute paper piece style items that we worked with, and we're going to add some foam squares onto the back of them. And we're going to start layering them in the scene. And oh my goodness, that Easter basket is just too cute. And I love the look of it with the wagon right there with the little eggs. It's so sweet. And the bunny just ties the whole thing together, and I just think it looks adorable. And then we're going to take some little carrots and we're going to tuck them into that little wagon. And now it's gone from being a pumpkin wagon to an Easter wagon. And I think it's just so sweet. And then the last thing that we need to do is work on our sentiment. So this is a fancy folded banner die. And here's the Happy Easter from our Extraordinary Easter add-on stamp set. And we're going to stamp this. We've kind of curved that stamp a little bit to match the curve of the banner. We're going to stamp this in some jet black ink. And then we're going to use some Copic markers to add color to these letters. And I think it's going to be a nice match to the marker that we added to the Easter eggs. And so we're going to give it a really pretty gradient look with the darker blue at the top and then lighter blue towards the bottom. And that's one of my favorite thing about this outline style of sentiment is that you can add really, really pretty color. And the blue is going to echo the blue in the sky too. And I just think it's going to look so beautiful. The next step in this banner is to fold along the score lines that the die created for us. So we're going to fold those two. We're going to fold the first one back and then the next one toward ourselves. And when you do that, it creates this really cool kind of folded three-dimensional banner. Next, we're going to add some adhesive on the back of the pieces and also in between the folds there so that we can secure the whole thing in place. And then we can layer that on to the card once we add a little more adhesive there in the center. And you'll see just how cute that is. I think that little folded banner just feels very springy. It's super adorable with this scene. And then the next thing we need to do is take a card base and we're going to add some adhesive to that and we're going to layer it behind those adorable scallops. And now this card is all done. It's so super cute and sweet. I love the combination of all of the different paper piecing style dies, and that Easter basket is just adorable. And here we wanted to show you a comparison between the basket that we did with pattern paper, which was a card we did at a different time, and then the one we did with markers and kraft cardstock. They're both really, really cool looks, and I love the differences between them. Next up, Shari is going to blow you away by creating a pull and pop card with this excellent Easter basket. So take it away, Shari.
I'm creating a pull and pop pull tab card using the Eggcellent Easter Basket die set. I'm starting out by cutting out my base piece out of some kraft cardstock, and what I have is a double-sided adhesive sheet. I'm just cutting it down to this small size of this piece of cardstock, and this will give me adhesive all over this piece of cardstock and make it really easy to stick those small die cuts on. So I've covered this whole craft piece and I'll cut this solid piece of the basket. And then I cut the frame piece of the basket from the same kraft cardstock. And I'm just popping out the basket pieces. I'm going to keep those because I'm going to be dropping them back in. But I can peel off that liner paper and you can see the shininess. I have adhesive all over this basket, so it makes it really easy to adhere down these fine detailed line die cuts. I'm also going to cut one out of white and do some Copic coloring for the eggs. I used the white trim on the basket and you'll see me put the white handle in there actually, but I will change that later. But for now, I'm going to color my eggs, and my basket does keep getting stuck to my sleeve, which is kind of funny. But I'm just using two different colors for each egg. So I started out with two pink colors, and I'm trying to keep these in the frame just so it's easy to hold on to and color. You're going to see when I get to my final egg, it just won't stay and I had to kind of give up. But this also helps me with the color placement. So I've got a teal egg there. I'm moving on to a purple egg. And you just have to be careful to not cross over to another egg, but it's fine if we color on the frame because that's just going to be going in the trash and we're not going to be using that. You can see how that one just popped out. It wouldn't stay in the die cut even though I tried to keep it in there to color with. I could have put a piece of tape behind it if I really needed to, but I'm not doing any real detail coloring, so I managed to survive without it. Here's where you're going to see me pop in that white handle, and I actually changed my mind later and pull that out, so you're going to see me do that later as well. And then finally I have my little green egg, and it was being a problem child as well and would not stay in my die cut. And for all of these, I just used 2 shades and did really simple shading with the dark color at the bottom of the egg and a lighter color towards the top. Then for the basket, I wanted it to be a little more subtle and not too obvious, so I decided to pop back in those same kraft pieces that I popped out earlier, and then I'm just going to carefully outline parts of it with my Copic marker. So I've popped in all the big pieces. Now I'm moving on to these little ones on the bottom, and you can see how easy they are to pop back in when you use that double-sided adhesive sheet on that solid piece. It's kind of like putting a puzzle together. So now that all those pieces are in, I'm going to grab a brown marker, that was my little test piece, and just carefully sort of outline the edges where the basket is, kind of creating some shadow. I'm not even doing any blending, just a small line next to the die cut frame piece. And you can see how it makes it look like it has some shadow, but I did not have the stark contrast of 2 different colors of cardstock. I'm also going to go in with a pink marker and add some little details to that ruffled edge of the basket. And then I'm moving on to the bow that also comes in this set. So I've done the same thing with the bow on a piece of white. I've covered that in the adhesive sheet, and I cannot get it to get off my fingers. And then I'm going to use the white part of the bow for the inside piece and the pink part for the frame. So I'm just going to pop out those pieces on the inside of that frame and then layer my pink frame over the sticky piece. And then I can use all these little white pieces to fill in. And I think that's a really fun look with that colored frame and then the white inside. So you get this nice light colored bow, but you still have that color for the frame. And then I go ahead and glue this on again. This is before I decided I wanted to change the handle. And then here is where I decided. So I just kind of pull my bow off, and then I'm pulling out that white handle. I still have the brown handle from the brown basket that I cut. I'm only adding a little bit of liquid glue in there just to make sure it stays down since I pulled a piece of paper out. But that white piece of paper came out pretty easy, so you could easily change your mind if you wanted to change up the colors. Now I have a panel cut from some mermaid cardstock, and this is where I'm going to cut my slots for my pull and pop pull tab. And I'm just centering it up, and I want to make sure that that bottom slot is kind of where I want the bottom of my basket to be. So I'm just holding that in place with a little bit of tape, and I'll run that through the die cut machine. And then now I'm going to create a grassy bottom that's going to cover up that bottom slot. So I have a piece of cilantro cardstock cut with that same outside in stitch rectangle. I know where I need to put my grass to get it high enough to cover up that slot on the bottom. And then I'll just hold that in place with some tape and run it through the die cut machine. I also have my pull and pop mechanisms cut from that same mermaid cardstock because I know I'm going to see this a little bit on my card, so I want it to match my background. I'm going to use a ruler to help me fold that really thin fold line on that T piece there. And once I get it going against the ruler, I can reinforce it with my bone folder. And then on the other score line, I'm going to fold it away. So I'm creating a Z fold, and I'll do the same for the little stabilizer piece. So one fold towards me and one fold away. And then I'm going to take this piece and flip it over to the back. And then my tab is also flipped to the back. thread the bottom through the bottom slot, the top through the top slot, and then also thread that small T piece through the slot so that it is on the front of the card base. Now I've lined up my grass along the bottom and I want to cut out the little notch so that I can grab hold of this pull tab and pull. So I'm using the die in that set, lining up that bar with the bottom of the grass and the two little arrow points with each side of the pull tab. I also have my decorative piece that covers it up, so I'll have a pink pull tab and you'll also have that little arrow. And I'm going ahead and adding my piece to my background, to my card base. Now this is cut on an outside in stitch rectangle, so it's not going to go all the way to the edges of the card. I want to make sure the adhesive is still in the same places as a full-size card though. So the top, the bottom, and a little bit down each side with no adhesive on the main parts of each side. You need that to kind of buckle up a little bit and have some space for that to move in there. So I'm just checking, making sure it moves in there really nicely, and then I'm going to add my stabilizer piece. So this goes right above the slot, right in the center, and then the piece that folds towards you and then folds back, and then you can fold the large tab over and put it in the right place. Now to add my grass, but I do this every time. I want to make sure that I add my decorative piece first. So I'm going to cut that tab off at the bottom of the card and then also trim my decorative piece to be about halfway up between the slots. And then I can add some glue and slide this up into that slot so that the top stays hidden behind these pieces. And this is why I use some liquid glue, so I can kind of move it up in there and shift it around, and then I'm going to push it up so it lines up with the bottom of the tab where I cut it off. So I've added foam adhesive to the back of my grass. You can see that I've kind of marked off in the center there where I want to make sure that I don't add any of this foam adhesive because that is where the pink tab needs to move. So you want to make sure that there's no glue there, and then I can just pop this onto the bottom of my panel. I have a couple images that I've already colored and cut out from the Extraordinary Easter stamp set, and then I'm also going to use some sentiments from the Extraordinary Easter add-on. So I'm stamping out that Happy Easter with those outline letters. I'm stamping this in some River Rock ink, so it's that gray color, and then I'm using the same colors that I used for my Easter eggs to color in my letters. And I'm just using the darker color that I use for each of those. I'm not worrying about blending these to be dark to light. And then after I have that colored, I'm going to use a sentiment banner die to cut this out. And I'm lining it up sort of towards the left of the banner. And I do this a lot, and I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to line it back up and make a shorter banner. So once I've got that cut out, you can shift it over, you can fill where it lines up on the top and the bottom, and then you can cut a fishtail end on the other side and get a shorter banner. So I've put my card into my MISTI. I do not have my sentiment glued down yet or my basket. I'm going to stamp the beginning of the sentiment at the top that says, "Somebody wishes you." So I'm going to have "Somebody wishes you" at the top, "Happy Easter" at the bottom. So I'll pick that up in my MISTI, remove my pieces that are not glued down, and then I'm just going to stamp this directly onto that blue sky at the top. Now I can add my basket, and you'll see here why I wanted to make sure that the tab matched. You are going to see the top of that right in the opening of the basket, but since it's the same background color, it blends in pretty well. Now I can add my little sentiment banner below it. I'm adding some thin foam squares so it's popped up a little bit from the background, and I'll just line that up between the basket and the pull tab at the bottom. Now to take my cute little bunny and my little chick, what I wanted to do was hide them behind the basket so when you come to pick up your Easter basket, there's some friends hiding behind it. So I've got that cute little bunny chick. I'm making sure that where I place them fits behind there and they're hidden. And then I'm going to add a little foam square to his head because that's above my grass. My grass is popped up on foam. And then I can just add my little bunny. And then I'll just glue the chick right to the grass. And now they're both hidden behind my basket when it's in the down position, which I think is really cute and really fun. It's like a surprise hiding behind the Easter basket. And then I felt like it needed a few more embellishments up in the sky. I thought about clouds, but I like the look of these little pink hearts instead. I really like that one can be seen through the handle of the basket. And then of course I wanted some glitter, so I'm adding some glitter to my eggs. So I have some glittery eggs and then a few little glitter accents to the bow. I also traced those little scallops with the glitter, and then here is that finished card where you pick up your Easter basket and see those cute little Easter friends hiding behind. I just think this is so cute, and I love that the Happy Easter sentiment matches the colors of the eggs in the basket.
Oh my goodness, Shari, this card is too cute. I love the bow off to the side, and I love that this is a pull and pop card, and the little surprise of the bunny underneath and the chick is too cute. I think this would just make anybody smile. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team, and this one by Callie is so sweet. I love how she combined it with our extraordinary Easter stamp set, and then she used pattern paper to add color to those Easter eggs. Elena also combined the Eggcellent Easter Basket with the Springtime Bunny, and her coloring is absolutely stunning. I also love that she used the secret garden window in the background. It's a perfect scene setter. I love how Megan added that chocolate bunny from our Build a Basket Easter. He is so cute in this paper piece style basket, and I love how she added a little bit of Easter grass into the basket as well. This slimline card by Grace is the one that inspired us to make ours. I love how she added the white gel pen details to the Easter eggs and that cute little wagon. She also had the bunny have a little jar of paint and a paintbrush, which is so sweet, as if he's going to decorate all of those Easter eggs. Kara added the Eggcellent Easter Basket to her cute little tote bag, and this is an adorable sweet gift. You could fill it with some cute little chocolates, and I love that she used the What's Sewing On paper to decorate the Easter eggs. So we cannot wait to see what you guys create with this new die, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!